the thing with growing up as a Black person in Venezuela is that everything, the racism that I want to call it, is so ingrained in our culture that the messages are subconscious, are so ingrained in our vocabulary, in our traditions, the way that we refer to Black people. But let's just say, like, oh, you have to, I would hear things like, oh, you have to marry a white person so you can improve your race, or, and that would be like a quote unquote joke. But those are the type of messages that I grew up in and listening. And I think subconsciously I started creating beliefs about, maybe Black people are not the ideal. And white people or Caucasians are a little bit more of a goal, and they're put in pedestals. So I wouldn't necessarily say that, oh, I was taught, no, you shouldn't marry Black, you shouldn't hang out around Black people. But it was an underlying current that, those subliminal messages, let's call it that way, that I would constantly receive that made me create a belief about Black people in general.
So how did that make you treat those Black people if you had those subconscious beliefs about them?
I wouldn't treat them in a way that is particularly negative. I would just think that maybe if I can, and this is me talking about dating, dating wise. So I would think that maybe if I could get someone light skinned or a white person to date me, that would somehow would be an achievement. That somehow that would be, I got something, I got the prize, and that thought wouldn't be the same for someone that looked like me.
Wow, that's very, very interesting. Okay, so how did the advice of bettering your genetics by dating a white man affect your self-esteem personally? Like, how did that make you feel knowing that you were Black, that you felt that the white was the way to improve your race? How did you feel about yourself?
About myself, and this is something that I've obviously recognized and that I was able to change. But at the time when I was a young girl, I would see it as a social currency that somehow would elevate me or put me in a position socially that would benefit me. And that is something that now as an adult, I recognize in myself and I was able to change. But unfortunately, those are things that I still see around, and not only with with Black Latinas, but also Indigenous Latinos in general, that we just perceive white race and Caucasians as this aspirational thing, and that we could somehow get social currency to elevate us in society some way.
Okay, that's very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
my third question for you is, in what ways did these societal pressures impact your relationships with Afro men during your formative years? So you kind of touched on this a little bit more, but I guess during your teenage years, I asked you, how did you treat other Black men? And you said that, I guess you kind of already answered this. You
Yeah.
kind of, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wouldn't be particularly interested in Black men. It was just, okay, they're just people. Like I said, I would never reject them or like, that's gross. I was just, no, maybe that's not my type. I maybe disguise it as, oh, that's not my type. And this is something that I saw a lot growing up. I can think of three people that I would call friends at the time that would tell me, oh, don't tell anyone I like Black men, like it's something that you shouldn't like. Or that they would tell me the opposite, like, oh, I don't like Black people. I mean, it can be your friend, but I just don't like Black men. I'm talking about women. Oh, I don't like Black men. I don't like it. And they would they would say those things to me, which I now find strange because I don't know. I don't find it particularly something that you would say, like, oh, I just don't like this race. And we can go into like preferences and all of that, but to say that to someone that's Black, in a way, it makes you feel like, oh, you're not desirable if you're not careful. That's a message that can that you can internalize when you have a lot of people say, "Oh no, I don't like black men or black women." So yeah, I've had people tell me that those things.
Okay, so what would you say that the other like what would you say your family would look at you as if you did bring a black man home?
Well, that's I don't know if I can answer that because um growing up I was bullied a lot because I was usually the only black girl around in school in my classroom, and I was bullied a lot growing up because of my skin and my hair. Um, so I didn't date a lot at all actually when I was a teenager. So I don't know if I can answer that. Like my family wasn't expecting that from me.
So they bullied you behind your hair and your skin tone.
Yeah, yeah, they would make fun of me in many ways. I find it funny now, but yeah, I got bullied because of my hair, and that's why I ended up relaxing my hair for so many years because I just wanted to have straight hair like anyone else.
So when did you come to realization that this ideology was having an impact on your personal life, your self-esteem? Like when did you realize like why am I not wearing my natural hair?
Yeah, I think it started around maybe I was 19. I'm 30 years old now, so a long time ago. So I was 19, and I just, I think it was on YouTube, a girl on YouTube. She was a natural girl from the US, and she had this channel years ago about natural hair and how she grew her hair back from relaxers. And I was like, oh, that's the thing. I didn't even know that existed because, mind you, I grew up uh, with my mom's side of the family, which are not black. So I had no clue about black hair and black anything. So that's I think that's when the journey started. To there's a different side of black culture and black things, and that we have um, characteristics that are unique to us, like our hair. And that's when I made the decision to, like, you know what, I'm not gonna straighten my hair anymore. And it took me a long time. Black hair, like curly hair, grows really slow. So it was like 2 years of not relaxing my hair and waiting for it to grow out. And at the time, nobody was doing it. Now you can see curly hair everywhere, but 12 years ago, it was like nobody was doing it. And I was like, everyone was like, what are you doing? Why do you have just crazy hair out there? So, yeah.
Yeah, it looks amazing. I think you should keep it like that. So
Thank you.
how prevalent is this mindset in your community, you would say? And are there, or let's say in Latin America, how prevalent
Hmm.
do you think this mindset that you experience is like, yeah, how prevalent do you think it is? Because I would say I noticed it at first whenever I went to, like, I always heard people talk about it in Brazil, but I never seen it because in Rio and Salvador, there's so many black people that
Hmm.
all black girls there can't have a white man, so you still see them dating black men. But when I went to Montevideo, Buenos Aires, and Lima, there was many occasions where I would try to, oh look, these are chicks that look like you, like light skinned Afro. And I did it on live. Some people watching right now saw it, and I would speak to them. They can't hear me talking to them, or they don't want me to talk to them at all. And then I turn around and there's a mestiza, and she gives me the time of the day like they should have. I mean, they don't have to do anything, but I'm just saying. So how prevalent it is throughout Latin America? Do you think that's very common?
I think it's common, but I think it's also getting better. People are being like more accepting. I definitely would say Venezuela is still strong on having those pseudo racist opinions about black people in general. Um, but actually, in Lima, I found a lot of acceptance. I think people are more curious here because they don't see a lot of um, black people. Um, but I think we still need some work to do for sure.
So would you say the generations you go back, it's worse, or is it more accepted the older the person is, or the younger people
Oh
have
no,
issues?
no, no. The older, the further you go back, the more internalized the racism is. And my father
Yeah,
would say that my father is a black man, like darker than you, and and obviously darker than me as well. Like, and he would say like the most racist people is the black people.
really.
Yeah,
What was his
in Latin
reasoning?
America, in Venezuela, because it's an internalized racism, is
Uh,
knowing and accepting that, oh, you are less than, and that someone that is lighter or closer to being white, and it's better, and it's how it is. You have sayings like common things like, ah, you work, I'm working like a black person, or you're doing this because I'm the black one, right? Like when when you do something bad, or someone blames you for something, you're blaming me because I'm black, right? Even if you're white or black or mestizo or whatever, this is just sayings that are so ingrained in our culture that are a reflection of that internalized racism.
okay, I could understand that completely. So the
Hmm.
next question I have is, have you encountered? So you said that they're more accepting in Lima, because I was going to ask you, have you encountered similar ideologies in other Latin American countries? What countries have you been to in Latin America?
I haven't been to like other countries in Latin America. I've been exposed to the culture through media like internet, and here you get a lot of tourism as well. So, and I worked there. I went, for a moment, I worked at a place where I interacted with a lot of tourists from all over. But yes, I've been to just Venezuela, Trinidad and Tobago, Saint Vincent and the Grenadines, quickly through Colombia, Ecuador, and now here.